Well, I am absolutely in love with these little holiday trucks that everybody has in different kinds of decor items in real life. So I thought the dolls might enjoy having one in the dollhouse. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. All right, so here are the parts to our little truck design. And they'll all be on both the PDF for hand cutting and the PNG for cutting with your electronic cutting machine. However, I recommend for hand cutting, you cut these out as a block and you color in the letters with red paint later, or red, like a red, probably colored pencil maybe, or pen. The other pieces should be okay. And then the hearts, maybe use a really tiny heart paper punch to do those if you're doing by hand. By machine, it should be okay. I am going to get set up to glue my units together, and then I'll be right back. All right, I've pushed all the little tiny hearts all over there in a group because we're not going to glue those together. Those are going to be painted and put on individually. And you don't have to use all of them. I gave you more than you need in case your machine decides to shred some of them. So I'll glue a couple of these together on camera, and then I'll turn the camera off and I'll do the rest off camera. So we've got the truck body, which is the backing of the sign. And that I've got 4 pieces for. 3 pieces for the back window, 3 pieces for the tailgate, and then 3 pieces for the little sign that goes on the tailgate. So let's just do a couple of these. Let's do the big truck first. So I've got some nice thick tacky glue, and I have a toothpick to apply it. I like to do that instead of a glue stick because I have better luck with the piece staying together. Occasionally I'll use a glue stick on things, but that's usually things that are going to be covered with something else, like a plastic or something, like when we did the planner a few weeks ago. So I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to line it up. Now I almost always use, for these signs and things, for the majority of the projects I do with the cutting machine, I do them out of white, medium weight cardstock, which is kind of a standard cardstock like you'd buy in the craft store in the packages. Number one, because it's more economical. You only have to buy 1 package. You can actually cut 2 of these trucks out of one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper if you wanted to. Secondly, I find that if I use white paper and paint with a decent quality acrylic paint, I have better color stability on my pieces. They don't tend to fade as much. Colored paper many times fades. And because these are designed to be like on the outside of your dollhouse where they'll probably get more light, I try to make them out of things that are a little more color stable. So we'll get the 4th one here. And because this one is a little bit of a larger piece, which is why it's got 4 pieces, I am going to stick once I get this all lined up, I'm going to put a bottle of paint on top of it to hold it down flat, just in case it wants to be silly and warp as it dries. So I'll just put that on there. That's enough weight that will hold it flat. Let's do the tail. Let's do the window, because that's going to be a little harder to do than the tailgate. Tailgate's pretty easy. This one has the heart cut out. If you are hand cutting and you don't want to do the heart cutout, you could, again, just paint the heart on the back window. Cut it out as a solid piece and paint it. So just line up your edges. One of the nice things about using a nice liquid glue is you do have a little bit of time where you can fiddle and move things around. It doesn't immediately adhere to the point where you can't manipulate it and get it lined up better. I am going to save this really intricate piece for off camera because last time I did one of these signs on camera, I tried to line up the lettering and it was a disaster because I could not get it lined up. Afterwards, my glue had set up enough I couldn't fix it. So it was not very well stacked when I went to put the piece together. So I am going to turn the camera off. I'm going to finish putting these together. I'm going to let this glue dry completely before I come back, because when we come back, we are going to start painting. So I'll see you then. All right, so I have all my pieces ready to paint. Now this piece of masking tape, what I did with this masking tape is I stuck it on my jeans several times to make it less sticky. Then I moved a bunch of hearts onto it so they are held still. We'll still have to be really careful pulling them off. We've got these pieces, so let's start with these hearts. I'm not going to use red. I need pink, and I'm going to do different pinks. I'll do a couple of hearts now, and then I'll do the rest later. I don't want you to have to sit here for that long. But I'm going to take some of this. This is Vivid Pink. I've used this on several projects this month. There's a couple of pink ones. And I might dig out a couple more colors off camera to do a couple more. But I want these to be different colors. I don't want them all the same. I want the hearts to have some variety. And I'll do some white ones off camera. So let's go ahead and get this little piece here. I want this, it's designed to kind of look like wood. So I am going to put just a drop of, this is Woodsy Smoke. I'm going to put one drop of that along with a drop of Moon Yellow. And I think I'm going to dip a paintbrush into the white. Then I'm going to combine those two colors of paint with that white on my brush and make kind of a yellowy, a pale yellowish brown, and paint this. A little more brown on it. But that gives me a color that will work for that. The window I'm going to paint with a light blue, and this happens to be Paradise Blue. Be sure on the window and some of these different pieces that you get the edges done also, which I will check off camera. Now on the truck, we do need to paint the tires first. So for the tires we want black, just a small brush. But don't go too far up into the truck because the way this is, because you want to be sure that you don't see black. You want red showing around the tailgate, I guess is what I want to say. That brush is too big. What do I have? That'll work. And then I have some flag red. And I'm going to paint the rest of this. And I'm going to paint this. So I will turn the camera off. I'll get these pieces painted. I will make sure my edges are coated. And then I'm going to give this plenty of time to dry. And when it's all the way dry, I'll come back and we will start assembly. So I'll be right back. All right, so I've moved to a clean work surface and we're ready to start assembling. So I'm going to move this off to the side. Now these we're not going to be taking off yet. So I'm going to put those over here where I don't mess them up. We are going to do some assembly. So I've got this tailgate sign and I want to glue it on here, kind of centered as best as I can. You're doing yours, you can take the time when you're not waiting, you know, you don't have the internet of people waiting for you to get yours glued together. You can take actually more time than I can. But get a little bit of glue on the back. You don't have to cover the whole back. In fact, it's better to have a few air bubbles in there so that the glue can kind of squish. And it looks like I've got glue filling some of the holes, but that's okay. It will dry clear. So I'm going to set this off to the side. And now let's put the window on. The window's going to go right about here. So we've got, whoops, I've got glue on my fingers. Remember, don't go too low on your truck with your window because your tailgate is going to be there. But you do want to see a little bit of red above the window. And try to keep it even side to side. All right, I want these 2 batches of glue to dry. And when these are dry, I'll come back and we'll put the tailgate on. And then we'll let it set up a few minutes. And then we can start putting the hearts on. So I'll be right back. All right, my glue is set up enough that I can work with these without dislodging my pieces. So I'm going to line this up. This will fit, if you've cut it out according to the pattern, it will fit perfectly because this piece and this are the exact same piece on the pattern. I just welded them together, or attached them on the graphics program to make them one piece for the backing. Now I'm going to take a very sharp pencil and draw a light line. That way I know where the top of this is all the way across. And I have these little hearts. And you'll have to be very careful because they're going to try and peel a little bit. Even though I kind of rubbed this on my jeans to take the stick away, it's still a little bit, they're still going to want to come off, not come off of it. All right. I'm not going to take all of them off right now. I'm only going to take off a few because I want to put a couple of dots of glue. And remember, we are going to coat this in Mod Podge when we're done. So if your glue seeps up higher and shows when it dries, that's okay because the Mod Podge we put on later will cover that. Now, if I had a piece of raw spaghetti, I would use that. But I don't because I am out of pasta and I forgot to get it at the grocery store. I'm going to put, and I'm kind of making this fit on that line. A damp dotting tool will also pick that up. I did not want that to fall upside down though. Come on. There we go. Got a white one. Trying to make sure I have the top of the heart up. And one more to put on now. And I don't think I even gathered all the hearts. There's many more hearts on the pattern than you will need. And like I said earlier, if you're doing this by hand cutting, go ahead and use a really tiny heart punch. Or just draw them on the back of paint them on the back of your truck by hand. Because hearts are pretty easy to paint. We've painted hearts many times on the channel. I've shown you a couple of different ways to do it. All right, covering this up. Now make sure your welcome is right side up. Lined up, and now I'm going to get a couple more hearts out. They're not coming off. And a light pink one. And you can put as many or as few as you want. And let's see, where do we want you? I want one more. I think right there. There's a piece of glue stuck to that. Come on. These little pieces can be kind of a pain, especially when you're trying to do this on camera. All right, now that glue needs to dry. When that glue is dry, I'll come back. We'll put a clear coat on, and then we can see how this looks on the wall. So I'll be right back. All right, all our glue is dry now, so now I've got some satin Mod Podge. I am going to do a nice thin coat, hopefully a thin coat. I'm breaking my rule here, and I'm dipping right into the container because I don't see anything to pour it into. Hopefully I don't have anything wet on here. It was all painted yesterday, so it should be fine. So I'm going to do a nice thin, even coat on the front, and then I'm going to, when that's dry, I'm going to give a nice thin, even coat to the back. And when that gets dry, I will meet you over at the Dollhouse and we'll look at this in place. See you then. All right, I have mounted our truck sign on a wall so you can see what it looks like in place. And Mrs. Doll is standing next to it to kind of give you an idea of scale. I hope you enjoyed today's project. Be sure and check the blog post. I've got more information over there, a few hints and tricks, as well as photos, and of course the link to the downloadable free pattern. If you enjoyed the video, be sure and hit the like button. Leave me a comment. What kinds of things would you like to see in future videos? If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.